Hi, and welcome to part 10 of my Python Programming for Beginners tutorial series. In the last few tutorials, we've been covering different types of collection data types. So we've gone over lists and we've gone over tuples. Today, we're going to be looking at sets. So a few key features of sets is they are unordered. So the order that you create them in will most likely not be the order that they will print in or the order that you will loop through them in. So because they're unordered, you can't access the data directly nor change the data inside. You can add items to them, you can remove items to them, but you actually cannot change a specific item in the set. Another thing about sets is they don't allow duplicates. So even if you create a set, let's say 1, 1, 1, 2, you'll only have one instance of 1 and one instance of 2. It removes all the duplicates. But sets actually do have some really cool features. By features, I mean methods that you can execute on them. So let's go ahead and let's get started with sets here. First, we're going to show you how to initialize a set. So the way that you would initialize a set here is just going to be very standard. We're just going to call it set1 here. And for sets, you actually use the curly brackets. So let's actually just go ahead and show an example here of removing duplicates, and probably not going to get the same order anyways. So let's just put some values in here. So let's just put 1 through 7 here, and there's a duplicate for 1. Let me put a duplicate for 3, put another 4, put another 7 in there. So we have quite a few numbers in here. And then if I actually just go ahead and just print off this set1 right away, you guys will see what happens. So as we can see, our set just became 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whereas we actually declared it as 1, 1, 3, 2, 5, 6, 4, 7, 3, 4, 7. So it removed all the duplicates and completely changed the order of our items. So because of this order change, like I said, we can't access them directly. So you can't do the square notation like you can in lists or tuples, or reference them as you'll see with a dictionary. You can't look them up by a key value. The only way to actually get the values out of a set is to actually loop through them. And like I said, I'll be covering that because all the loops are very, very similar. So I'll be covering that after all the different collection data types. So I'm just going to show you really the main methods of sets. So the first method is obviously to add items to a set. So here we have our set1 of numbers 1 through 7. So sets actually have two methods to add items. We have the add method and we have the update method. The add method is limited to only one item at a time. So you can only add, let's add 8 here. This way it's not part of the set. And then we can print off the set1. And again, this will add it. It necessarily does not add it to the end of the list of the set because it is unordered. But in this case, it does go to the end. You just can never guarantee where it'll go. So keep that in mind. Another thing that we can do is we can do the update to add items. Now for update, you can actually add multiple items in any type of iterable data type. So you can pass in a list here, you can pass in a set, you could pass in a tuple, anything that's really iterable in Python here. So let's actually show a few examples here. So let's first try out our lists here. So let's pass in 9 and 10, and then we're going to print off the set. All right, so we see that it did add 9 and 10, and it removed them out of the list and put them directly in the set. Another way that we could do this as well is if we did round brackets, which would be a tuple. So if we do it this way, we can see that it adds them as well. And we could pass in another set. And we can run this as well. So we can see that update really takes any type of collection data type and will add it in directly into our set without a problem. So that basically covers how to add items to a set. Now, we've always seen that there's also ways to remove items. So sets provides quite a few ways to remove items. So the first way here that we can do is going to be your set dot remove, and then there is dot discard, and then there's also pop. So remove and discard will actually take in a element. Now this element will have to be an element that's in your set. Now the main difference between discard and remove is if you try to remove an item that is not in the set, you will actually get an error. But if you do the discard method, you will actually not get any errors. It just won't discard it, but you won't get any errors. But besides that, the remove and discard function are pretty much the same other than the error handling. So we can remove, and then let's go ahead and let's just print off the set one here. There you go. So we have our set one here. So let's go ahead and let's see. We've removed 10, and we can also discard 10, and we can see that we get the same result. Now, there is the other method that I went over, which is pop. Now, pop, very similarly to the other pop functions that we've seen for other data types, removes the last item of the set. Now, because you don't know what item this could be, I personally don't really see the purpose of using pop. You might have a use case for it, but if we do pop and then we print it off, we can see that it removed item one here. So it does just kind of not really specify anything, and then we can run it again and see what it will remove. It'll remove two. So it definitely seems to be taking from the front here. But again, you will not know what order this is if you load it in from a file or something. You won't really know what the first item in the set will be. So I would always try to use the discard or remove, but definitely pop is always an option. Now, there are two other methods that we could use. One's a method and one is mostly like a command, I would say. So there is set1.clear. So basically reference your set and then clear. What this will do, this will actually just empty out your set completely. So you will be left with an empty set. The other is del set one, which will just delete your set. And then when you go to reference it, you will not find it because it will not be defined. So those are two ways that you could remove sets or clear them out or remove items. Now with sets, compared to lists and tuples, come actually these very, very handy methods, which we can actually use to intersect or like basically intersect them. We can union sets together. When we intersect them, we could keep only the duplicate values, so the values that are in both, or we can intersect and keep only the values that are not in both. So let's actually see some examples of these. I'm just going to erase my whole file here, and we're just going to work with a very, very simple data sets here. So we're just going to have a set one and a set two, and we're going to have a few values here. So we have 1, 2, 3, and we have 2, 4, 6. So what we're going to want to do is sets have a lot of functions. So we have difference, we have difference update, we have intersection update. We also have symmetric difference update and symmetric difference. So let's go ahead and let's actually see what these do. So the reason why there's a update and a just like a regular intersect and then an intersection update, the underscore update method will update the actual set that you're performing the dot method on. If you're performing the dot intersection, that will actually create a new set. This will update the set in place. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to just be creating other sets here just so we can actually have a little bit easier time of understanding what's going on. So let's first do a set1 dot union set2, and let's print out our bird set here. And let's see what this looks like. All right, so we can actually see that the union was very similar to the update method, really. And we get our 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. So it removed the one of the instances of 2 because it's not allowed duplicates. So that's pretty much what we expected. And now let's go ahead and let's create some different sets here for the different types of options. So let's have a set4. We're going to set 4 to the set1 dot intersection of set2. So this will grab the items that intersect. So if we look at this here, we can see that we only get 2 because our sets, the only matching items in the 2 are 2. So that's where that intersection comes in. Now we're going to have a set 5, which is set 1, and we are going to do that for symmetric difference on set 2. And let's print out set 5 here. And let's see what that looks like here. So here is kind of what I was saying a bit earlier, how we can do the intersect or symmetric difference, which will basically give you all of them, but the ones that are actually matching. So we have our union, which combines the two. We have our intersection, which will tell you the items that are in both. And symmetric difference will tell you the items that occur only in one of the two sets. Doesn't matter which set. If they only appear once, that's what you're going to get. So we get our 1, 3, 4, 6. So that is all of those functions here. Now, sets actually do have a lot of useful functions. There's definitely a lot of functions. There is subset checking. You can see if a set is part of another set. So that's pretty much it. There is one more method that I do want to go over here. So if we look at set 6 here and we do set 1, the difference between set 2, and we print out set 6 here, we will only, set 6, we will only get 1 and 3. And then if we did 2 and 1, we will actually get a different result here. We will get 4 and 6. So the difference is what items are in set 2 that are not in set 1. And when we did the earlier one, it was what was in set 1 that was not in set 2. So those are really the main features I would really say in part of sets. This is going to be greatly useful if you're doing like data manipulation, especially if you start going into like modules, like pandas. Pandas has a lot more features in other data collections. But if you're definitely going to want to do like data manipulation or data analytics, definitely pandas is worthwhile to check out because they have a lot of powerful functions in that. So that's pretty much it for sets for today. That will cover the most common uses for sets. Like I said, there's a lot of other functions for sets that you can find online in the documentation, but these are going to be probably the most used that you're going to get out of them. In the next video, we're going to be looking at dictionaries, which is a key value pair. And then we are going to be looking at the loops to go through these different types of data collections. And then we can get moving on with some different types of creating functions, some different string manipulations, some classes and objects and all that fun stuff. So make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to know when those videos are coming out. And I will see you on the next video.